Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our Thursday night class, our Women's Advanced Bible Study, on the 28th of July, 2022. What I'll be dealing with for the Bible discussion is Josiah, King of Israel, and what he brought to the table when he comes to Israel. I'm asking everybody to like, share, and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel and hit the notification button if you can. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord of Hosts. Welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study Hour, and we're going to do our moment of silence, our prayer, psalms, some current events, a little news and low information, and we'll open it up for some Q&A. Then we'll go into the Bible discussion. Okay, this moment of silence is for Yahweh and His Redeemer and all that they are doing to bring about the end of the captivity that we've been in for the last 2,500 years, and to bring us home back to our land. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this hour, thanking You for Your mercy and Your great power. We appreciate You, O Lord, for Your patience and guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank You for awakening us to this great understanding of Your word. When we come before Thee in hopes that You will keep and direct and guide us through the upcoming week. Oh Lord, there are trials and pestilence and mayhem at every turn, now that we are awakening. Oh Lord, we see Your mighty hand in the world affairs and how You are constructing Your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon Thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect You greatly. Turn not Thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of You, O Lord, to find You and to dwell with You. Peace be unto You. Okay. Read a song right quick. Okay. This is Psalms 10. It's a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. Why standest Thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest Thou Thyself in times of trouble? The wicked is in his pride, doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked through pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. The judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of curses and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privy set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by the strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hid his face. He will never see it. Arise, O Lord, O God, lift up thy hand. Forget not the humble. Wherefore doeth the wicked contempt God. He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou upholdest mischief and spite to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked, and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathens are perished out of his land. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. That was Psalms chapter 10. That was Psalms 10. And it's a prayer for the wicked, to overthrow the prayer to overthrow the wicked. Okay, anybody got any comments on that? So, like he said in verses 5 to 6, 4, 5 to 6, he says, the wicked through pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. His judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. And so uh, we can account this because of every wicked person that you come across. You can lay these verses on them. The last thing they think about is God's judgment. And they continuously puffed up. So we can apply that to them. Uh, and a matter of fact, it's a plumb line when you're trying to rightly divide someone's countenance. You see these things right here, you got a problem. Okay. Any comments? Okay, so we're gonna go into women's health, and then we'll go into our current events after that.
Shalom, everyone. Um, Tonight I'm going to talk about, does God want us to be healthy? God has given us our health among many other gifts, and God is calling us to do our best with the gift He has given us. Some of us are given near perfect health, and others have health challenges. No matter where you are, steward this gift well. The Bible has a lot to say about healthy living and how our health can honor God. Our lives are meant to honor and glorify God. Again, all the gifts God has given us are meant to honor Him. So, getting up each morning and choosing wholesome food to eat, exercising, and taking care of our mental health honors God. If we prioritize our health, we create a comfortable space for the Spirit to live and work within us. God cares about His temple, and it's our duty to care about it too. So, ladies, if we're always tired and sick, we may have trouble doing the things God is calling us to do. However, if we're healthy, we have the physical energy to do the spiritual work He wants us to do. Proverbs 31 speaks of a woman who did much for her home and her community. God gave her the strength to do all of this, and He used her health as one of the means to help her serve well. Ladies, we should be respecting our bodies because it comes from God. So treat it well and give thanks to God for this beautiful gift. Remember, everything we do reveals the condition of our hearts. Yes, even the things we choose to eat and drink can say a lot about how we honor God. All parts of our entire being are important. So, yes, God wants us to be healthy. May we value all that God has given us and steward it well. Psalms 139:14. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well.
Okay. Yeah. So appreciate that information and on our health, and we appreciate what you're doing. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go into our current events. Can you see that?
Yes.
So it says San Francisco declared emergency over monkeypox. It just happened 57 minutes ago. San Francisco, the mayor of San Francisco announced a legal state of emergency Thursday over the growing number of monkeypox cases, allowing officials to mobilize personnel and resources and cut through red tape to get ahead of the public health crisis, uh, reminiscent of the AIDS epidemic that devastated the city. Did something? All of a sudden they tie monkeypox to AIDS. They ought to be a red flag. Okay, the declaration, which takes effect Monday, was welcomed by gay advocates who have grown increasingly frustrated by what they call San Francisco's lackluster response to a virus that so far has affected primarily men who have sex with men, although only one can get infected. Okay, at this time, the city has 261 cases out of about 800 in California and 4,600 nationwide, according to San Francisco Department of Public Health. The national shortage of vaccines has resulted in people waiting in line for hours for scarce doses, often to be turned away when the shots run out. San Francisco is an epicenter for the county. 30% of all cases in California are in San Francisco, said San Francisco Public Health Officer Dr. Susan Phillip. San Francisco shut down its primary monkeypox vaccination clinic earlier this week after it ran out of doses, saying it had only received 7,800 doses of requested 35,000. San Francisco was at the forefront of public health responses to HIV and COVID-19 and will be at the forefront when it comes to monkeypox, said State Senator Scott Weiner, a Democrat who responds to San Francisco. We cannot and won't leave the LGBT community out to dry. Okay, okay. So anybody heard anything about that?
No, I did not. But I was reading something on about New York today, but I did not know that about San Francisco because New York has a high rate also, and they were saying they only received 10% of the federal monkeypox vaccine, despite the high caseload. And
Wow.
I have not really found any information yet. So if anybody have shared this with me, is that why is they're only targeting the gay and only one can catch the monkeypox? I have not found any information on that to help my understanding when it comes to that. That's just odd.
Yeah, well, when I see that, when I heard that and I see that, I mean, it's the same with the frogs that came out of the river and came out of the Nile River and came up on the land. Ain't but one person can do that.
Right. Okay.
That's what they tell me. And we know we got a problem with that. It's all
Right.
through the laws. So he putting his signature on it to me because people gonna try to nickname it, you know.
Mm.
Make that sound? So
But why
there's
do you think it's only one of them that has the possibility of contracting it? You know what I'm saying?
well, it's a carrier and then it's a receiver. The one that's carrying it and they have an encounter and then he give it to the other one.
Okay.
The carrier can't get it because he already got it.
He
The
already
other
got
one,
it.
the other
Right.
person didn't get it right. Make that sound?
Hmm.
Okay. I got another one right here.
US has turned to another theater of conflict, the South China Sea. America has sent an aircraft carrier to the region. China responded with a military exercise.
At the center of the saber rattling is Taiwan. What makes it worse is a proposed visit. US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants to go to Taiwan. China is mighty upset. It is threatening military retaliation. And amid this confrontation, Joe Biden, the US president, dialed Xi Jinping, the Chinese president. That conversation happened today. How long was the conversation? What did they discuss? And have they been able to dial down the tensions? Here's the report.
The 15th of November 2021, Joe Biden and Xi Jinping held their first meeting. A face-to-face virtual summit which lasted 3 hours. The aim was to engage better, also to stop their rivalry from turning into conflict.
As I've said before, it seems to me our responsibility as leaders of China and the United States is to ensure that the competition between our countries does not veer into conflict.
7 months later, the exact opposite has happened. Bilateral ties have worsened, tensions are at an all-time high, and there's a looming risk of conflict. A potential visit by US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan has further amplified the animosity. Beijing is threatening a strong retaliation if the visit goes ahead. They say they won't shy away from a military response. The threat is clear. Amid this face-off, Joe Biden dialed Xi Jinping on Thursday. It's their fifth conversation in 2 years. What did the two leaders talk about? The White House is yet to say, but a range of topics are likely to have been discussed. Starting with the looming threat of conflict, Beijing has become more aggressive in the South China Sea. It has expanded its maritime claims and reportedly even driven away US warships. Washington fears that without open lines of communication with Beijing, there could be more such encounters, which may eventually spiral into an unintended conflict.
Maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait isn't just a U.S. interest, it's a matter of international concern. So let me be clear. We do not seek confrontation or conflict. And we do not seek a new Cold War, an Asian NATO, or a region split into hostile blocs. We will defend our interests without flinching.
Nancy Pelosi's proposed visit to Taiwan is adding to the worries. Pelosi is the second in line to the US presidency. She would be the highest-ranking US official to visit Taiwan since 1997. Naturally, China is not too excited about the visit. It has threatened a resolute and strong response, even military action.
The Ministry of National Defense of China has said that if America remains on this course, the Chinese military will not sit idly. It will take strong measures to stop any attempts to interfere or split Taiwan from China. We Chinese do what we say.
What are the chances of China executing this threat? It helps to look at history. In 1995, when Taiwan's President Lee Teng-hui visited Washington, China launched military exercises and fired missiles into waters near Taiwan. Since then, Beijing's military capabilities have advanced significantly, and so have its stakes and the ambitions of its leadership. Just 24 hours back, an American aircraft carrier entered the South China Sea, the USS Ronald Reagan, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered vessel. In response, the PLA accelerated its military exercises, signaling how America is crossing the red line. These developments have spooked markets. Investors are already assessing the risks of conflict. Will China and the US go to war? Will Nancy Pelosi go ahead with her visit? Will the US back down and lose face, or risk another war? A lot depends on how Biden's phone call with Xi Jinping went, and his record of resolving tension by conversation is not inspiring.
Okay. Any comment? Yeah, okay. So like I said before, we know what's going to happen because we saw what happened with Russia and Ukraine. Like I said, you're not going to get nothing good out of this because these people want America to go away. So you can expect the worst. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, I got one more, and then I'll go into my some need to know information.
Elites here have always held up Europe as a model for the way things should be here in the United States. So their entire understanding of the region is based on boondoggle conferences they attended in Vienna or fond memories of their junior years abroad in Paris.
I'm not going to read your novel, but I'll tell you what I'll do. Yes? I'll bring it to Gertrude Stein. She's the only one I trust with my writing.
You'll show my novel to Gertrude Stein?
Give it to me.
I'll bring it to you.
She gets back from Spain tomorrow.
Great. I'm going to go get it. I can't tell you how excited I am. This is giving me such a lift that my heart is just racing right now. Okay, but no, what? Okay, I'm going to get it and then I'll be back.
Paris is so exciting. Well, they're always jealous of Europe's high gas prices. They marveled at its guaranteed multi-week vacation time, free government health care, and they came to love Europe's persistent anti-Americanism, its growing hostility to Christianity, even its refugees from North Africa and the Middle East. Liberal journalists fawned over the always brilliant Angela Merkel in Germany. If only we could have a leader like her.
People in Europe are starting to talk about Angela Merkel as the leader of the free world at the moment. That America has ceded that position.
When Europeans talk about the leader of the free world now, they talk about Angela Merkel, not Donald Trump.
She is the most important leader in the free world right now, in my estimation.
Well, that's a good clue that it's not worked out so well for Germany. The Germany she left behind is not looking so hot today, is it? Because we see the stark truth. Europe, in many ways, is collapsing. Its leaders are giving up. It's a total basket case. Life for normal working people there is increasingly miserable.
There's also people who already live on Social Security, who have then also taken the step of getting additional food at the food bank.
All of these price increases are paid for by us, the small, medium business owners.
You try to not turn on the air conditioning, to take the car less, but still there is anxiety because you have to think about doing things that were normal before.
So sad. Let's review what's happened there in just 1 month. Today, 10 years after he was considered the savior of Italy's currency, Prime Minister Mario Draghi resigned and Parliament dissolved. Now to France, where the country there is a total mess with Emmanuel Macron's split government. Once ridiculed by the elites, Marine Le Pen's National National Rally Party, is no longer fringe. It received nearly 42% of the vote last April. And last month, the party got 89 seats in Parliament, up from 8. Of course, the UK's Bojo, Boris Johnson, who didn't govern as a populist, he's a fake populist. He was forced out, and yesterday made his final appearance before Parliament.
Mission largely accomplished. For now, hasta la vista, baby.
Well, Brexit was accomplished, but I'm sure you wanted that to happen. And now the euro, well, that's in the toilet. It's actually in parity with the US dollar. And we know Europe is completely hapless. It's almost given up vis-a-vis China. They're not strong or principled enough to resist any of China's aggressive economic news and moves. Don't hold your breath there. Europe's energy policy, that's in tatters because we know that they're run by the Greeniacs, which is killing them. And as we approach cold weather months, they're essentially going to be begging Vladimir Putin for whatever gas he's going to send down that Nord Stream 1 pipeline. So energy rationing, you heard it in those clips we played earlier, is being seriously discussed across the EU. In fact, it just unveiled a new gas rationing plan this week, urging all 27 member states to reduce gas demand by 15% from August through March. How to use less energy is the new European battle cry. So we're all supposed to be happy today that, I guess, Russia reopened Nord Stream 1, but we find out it's still not operating at full capacity or even half capacity. So Russia's able to play games with a Europe that is not strong enough to defend itself against Russian aggression. Now, remember how the establishment here derided Trump when he went over to Europe and he told the European leaders that they had to become militarily stronger. They had to spend more money on their own military.
Diplomats dumbfounded by President Trump's barrage of attacks on NATO allies.
President Trump criticizing our NATO allies, attacking the EU.
The Trump administration has undermined NATO.
Trump has consistently attacked our allies, great and small.
No, first of all, let's remember that under the NATO agreement, they're supposed to spend 2% of their GDP on their militaries. Okay, pretty much no one's doing that. That's all Trump asked them to do. And of course, who can forget the reaction of the European leaders when Trump demanded they begin to fulfill all those NATO commitments? Well, even with all of their problems here, our economy is still stronger. It's still more resilient than Europe's. Now, in 2021, our GDP was about $23 trillion or so. The GDP for the entire EU, which has, again, 27 member states, was just over $17 trillion. And remember, this is important. They have more than 100 million more people than we have here. And our military, it's far bigger and stronger than all of the European unions combined. And we say thank you to the U.S. taxpayers for that. We're still carrying the Europeans on our backs decades and decades after World War II. But remember, the left here is working overtime to dismantle both our economy and our military, as the angle demonstrated this week. They don't want us to be stronger than Europe. They want us to be as weak as Europe and essentially folded into that idiotic rules-based international order. Now, we should learn the hard lesson here. Americans are not going to be saved by Europe or the liberal world order. China doesn't give a rat's you-know-what about Tony Blinken's rules-based international order. In Europe can't save itself. So we are going to have to save ourselves. And that's the end.
Okay, any comments? Yeah, so notice that you got a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman with a red skirt on, long neck, you know. See, she behind Trump. Well, the thing about it is, scriptures tell us that time of the Gentiles, when you see the time of the Gentiles coming to end, you're going to see us rising. So Europeans are the Japhet. Japhet is the Gentile. So all we're doing, and she said, she told us when the video started that the European Union, Europe is collapsing in front of our eyes. That's straight from the scriptures, prophecy. Okay? So with that being said, I was going to go into some little need to know information. This kind of is jumping off of what I just dealt with. We see the time when the Gentiles come to the end, and he tells us in Isaiah 60 that he's going to convert force of the Gentiles over to us. So let's look at this right here real quick.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome once again to my channel. I am Fikazo Traveler. It's really a beautiful day here in Kigali. So today I'm gonna give you a really a good tour, an amazing tour here in Kigali with this beautiful neighborhood. I'm just showing you different places here in Kigali, so it's a really a good neighborhood here in Kigali. So I'm gonna show you how beauty is this place. I'm gonna show you how clean, how it's very beautiful. So please enjoy the video. Remember to give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and please remember subscribe. Yes, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Yes, and then share the video, and even just give me the comment and tell me how you see this place. Just comment and tell me any other place you want to see here in Kigali, Rwanda. So let me give you the tour. Please enjoy it. It's your boy Fikazo Traveler. Let's go. So guys, I like this design, this small garden here. Wow, flowers, trees, man. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. And this is the road, The road is tarmac,
So as you can see, Africa is rising and the Gentiles is falling. It's all in the book. This is happening right in front of our face. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. With that being said, I was going to open it up for some cute, anybody have any questions or comments that they want, dialogue that they want, bring up. according to something that they encountered or came across they want to talk about? Okay. I'm gonna play this right here and then we'll go into some I think some much needed information I want to shine a light on. Okay.
During the late 7th century BC, as the Iron Age drew closer to an end in the Near East, the mighty Neo-Assyrian Empire was finally conquered and succeeded by the Babylonians under the leadership of King Nabopolassar. Although Nabopolassar founded the Neo-Babylonian Empire, it was his son, Nebuchadnezzar II, who succeeded in expanding the new empire and restoring Babylon to its former glory. This was the first time in 1,000 years since the reign of Hammurabi that Babylon had risen to dominate Mesopotamia. As a result of his portrayal in the Bible, Nebuchadnezzar would come to be regarded as an oppressive and cruel enemy of the Jewish people. Thank you to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video. CuriosityStream is a subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals, examining the importance of scribes in ancient Egyptian society and how they shaped our understanding of their culture. CuriosityStream has no ads and can be watched anywhere on your television, laptop, or mobile device. Go to Nebuchadnezzar II, the eldest son of King Nabopolassar, was born in 642 BC and was likely named after his grandfather, who was a governor in the city of Uruk under the rule of King Ashurbanipal. The name Nebuchadnezzar is derived from his traditional Akkadian name, Nabukadori Ushur, which translates to, "O Nabu, protect my firstborn son." Nabu being the Mesopotamian patron god of scribes, literacy, and wisdom, who gained great prominence during the first millennium BC after being identified as the son of the most powerful god of the Babylonian pantheon, Marduk. As crown prince of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar took part in his father's campaign to conquer the city of Haran in 609 BC, where the final Assyrian ruler, Ashur-uballit II, had gathered the remainder of his forces. The Battle of Haran led to the ultimate defeat of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Subsequently, Nebuchadnezzar was promoted and began taking charge of troops alongside his father. Together, they led an army into a mountainous region north of Assyria in 607 BC. After his father returned to Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar continued to lead independent operations, serving as commander-in-chief and securing major victories that solidified Babylon's status as the new superpower in the region. The Egyptian pharaoh at the time, Necho II, attempted to restore the fallen Neo-Assyrian Empire by leading a large army into former Assyrian territories and establishing a base of operations in the city of Karchemish. Nebuchadnezzar faced Necho and his forces in 605 BC at the Battle of Karchemish and dealt the Egyptians a devastating defeat. Nebuchadnezzar's victory over the Egyptians at Karchemish echoed throughout history, appearing in several later accounts, such as the Book of
Okay, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Shalom. Can anybody hear me? Okay, can anybody hear me? Okay, I can't hear nobody. Okay, anyway, so they just mentioned the battle of Kashemesh, right? So I wanted to go to that scripture and show you how you know they done twisted the scriptures all around. Okay, it says right here. If you go to let me see, go to Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles. This is going to tie into our discussion too. So we just kind of tying it all together so we can get a greater understanding out of it. So okay. So if you go to Second Chronicles chapter 35, verse 20. And it says, after all this, when Josiah had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, came up to fight against Carchemish. That's what they just mentioned. Right here, Carchemish, by the Euphrates. And Josiah went out against him, but he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have I to do with thee, thou king of Judah? I come not against thee this day, but against the house wherewith I have war. For God commanded me to make haste. Forbear thee from meddling with God, with who is with me, that he destroy thee not. So we're talking to Josiah. That's what we're gonna deal with today, and we're gonna come back and deal with this. But you can see how the time been set off, because if you go, Josiah died, then Nebuchadnezzar came. So when you look at these books, you can see they all out of order. They got the time all thrown off, which is what Daniel told us that he was going to do. He said he was going to change times and laws and put everything out of order. And so same thing. Yeah. Okay. So the same thing we see right here. They got this Nebuchadnezzar haven't came yet. And like I said before, I referred everybody to the Apocrypha in the book of Judith. It's the same thing with we're looking at right here on this on the video about Nebuchadnezzar. He was when he came on the scene, nobody really respected him. And so when you understand the timeline, how all this stuff is tied together with Daniel, and so Daniel gave us 4 beasts that was going to come upon the earth, right? So we know how powerful the Assyrian army is. If you did your homework, the Assyrian army was powerful, and Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian Empire came up after them. So what we got is the Assyrian army was powerful during the time that Israel was in captivity in Egypt. When they came out of Egypt, then so that what the angel gave Daniel was the kingdoms that was going to be on the earth once Israel became a nation, which was Babylon, Medes and Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. But before Nebuchadnezzar came on the scene, the Syrians was ruling the world. And so when you understand that, you can see these books are not in line with that. They're in line with, like I said before, over and over again, they lined up to take you into the New Testament to deal with this false God in the New Testament, but it ain't in order. Like I said, I just showed you Carchemish was in Second Chronicles. right here in Carmish, this king right here that Josiah came in contact with is in Second Chronicles. And if you go all the way over to Jeremiah, that's what Jeremiah prophesied about. There's a Babylonians coming. So, like I said, you can see that this stuff's not in order. It's not lined up like it's supposed to be because our records that our forefathers and the prophets and all them wrote down it was in chronological order. So they got it all out of order because, like I said, they got a hidden agenda and where they're trying to lead you to. They're taking you off on another plot that they got. So anyway, with that being said, yeah. So that's in according to the battle at Carmish, when the king came down from Egypt to fight, Josiah got involved in that, but he was told by Isaiah not to get involved in that, but he went anyway. And he went and snuck it, he went and hid and disguised himself and went into the battle anyway, and that's how he got killed. So we're gonna deal with that a little later on, but I wanted to kind of give you a little conversation on him before we go into the Bible discussion. Okay. Anybody got any comments before we get started? Let me see. Let me check this out. It says the Queen of Britain and the State of Israel have both been in existence roughly 70 years. Okay, yeah. Right. Okay. Daniel clearly states China was separate provinces than Babylon. Right. Okay. Okay. As for Naz and Ashkenazi, they are in the league of Babylon and always were. Babylon and Tomar. China exactly where Zechariah 5 prophecy said they would set up in the Middle East. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I can go with that. Okay, yeah. Anybody else got anything? Comment? Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go into this Josiah, the king of Israel, and I'm gonna shine a light on his importance, and then, like I said, put him in perspective with the timeline, the proper timeline, so you get a better, by putting him in the proper timeline, you get a timeline, you get a better understanding of the scriptures, and the scriptures become more plain. So the first thing we want to deal with is what his name means. It says healed by Jehovah, or Jehovah will support. That's what Josiah means, right? Then it says the son of Ammon and his successor on the throne of Judah, right? His history is contained in okay, let me see if I did this. Okay, hold up. Yeah, it says his history is contained in 2 Kings. He stands foremost among all the kings of the land of David for unswerving loyalty to Jehovah. And it says he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord and walked in all the ways of his father David. He ascended to the throne at an early age of 8 years old. That which was said, and it appears that not until 8 years afterwards did he begin to seek after the Lord, after the God of David, after the God of David's father. At that age, he devoted himself to God, and it appears that not all. Okay, say that he said it appears that not till 8 years afterwards did he begin to seek after the Lord, as the God of David. At that age, he devoted himself to God. He disguised himself by beginning a war of extermination against the prevailing idolatry, which had practically been the state religion for some 70 years, right? So when you go to, we're going to look at the 2 Chronicles. So let's look at that 2 Chronicles 34:3. So if you don't know that much about Josiah, I recommend that you go do the research on it, because after Josiah died, is when Israel came to an end, the nation at the end. And so what we're looking at right here is Most High got a promise that I had explained before on several occasions that he got a covenant with David. David is the Messiah, and so he got a covenant with David that David's gonna pass, and the Lord of hosts is gonna watch over David's kingdom because the kingdom belongs to David. And so he's gonna watch over his kingdom by keeping a son out of his lineage always on the throne. And then not only that, he knows that a wicked king's gonna arise in Judah and in Israel, but he's gonna always bring a righteous one. After so long, he's gonna bring a righteous king on the throne. And so that's how we see Hezekiah, Jehoshaphat. We see Josiah. He's always they have a string of wicked kings that take the people, the nation of Israel, away from the Lord of hosts, and then he would raise up one like on David, a young boy. He started out as a young kid, that's what Isaiah 53 is talking about when it says he shall grow up as tender plant. So let's look at that. So in Isaiah, okay, get that verse right quick. Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 says, who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground, and he have no form or comeliness. When we shall see him, there is no beauty that we shall desire him. So that's what we mean by tender plant, a young kid, a young boy. So we know that Joash, Ahaz's son, he wasn't number 8 years old, and Jeconiah was 8 years old when he came on the throne. Those are tender plants. They're young, tender, and no guile in them. They go right after the Lord. They go straight after the Lord because of their innocency and their youthfulness. They go straight after the Lord host. That's what it means by tender plant. So then it says in the 18th year of his reign, he proceeded to repair and beautify the temple, which by time and violence had become sorely depleted. Okay. While this work was being carried on, Hilkiah, the high priest, discovered a roll which was probably the original copy of the law and the entire Pentateuch written by Moses. So let's look at that. Okay. You can go into that. Let me see what I want to do next. Okay, let me go up. Okay. Yeah, okay, so let's go to I'm gonna go to 2 Kings first. Right? Go to 2 Kings. Okay. In a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna start reading right here in chapter 34. It says, Josiah reigns over Judah. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the ways of David, his father, and declined neither to the right nor to the left. And when you go back and read David's relationship with the Lord of hosts, we see that David came to the conclusion at the end of his life that he couldn't go to the left or the right with the Lord. That's how David left his earth. He found that out in his old age. But this boy right here, it says in verse 2, he 8 years old. He did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the ways of David, his father, and his decline neither to the left or the right. He 8 years old. David lived his whole life and found that out. So this is what I'm telling you about a tender plant. So anyway, 3, for in the eighth year of his reign, so he got on the throne at 8 years old, 16, at 16, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the God of David, his father. And in the 20th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and the groves and the carved images and the molten images. So let's look at that. So he says, and this to shine light on our situation also. It says, verse 3, for in 8 years, when he was 16 years old, 16 years old of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the God of David. See that? So the God we're dealing with now, the Europeans gave us ain't the God of David. See that? So just like right here, we're going to see that the Israelites have turned away from him also. So it ain't nothing new under the sun. That's what we happening now. We returning to the God of David. JC ain't the God of David. So it says in verse 3, in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the God of David, his father. And in the 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places. So what's the high places? Mountains. They're going up in these mountains. There's mountains all over the land of Canaan. That's why these giants came from these angels that's up in these mountains that was coming down from these mountains, choosing women, like Genesis 6 said. And that's why you got giants all over the land of Canaan. And they going up in these mountains worshiping their father. So what we're looking at is angels. It's angels all over the land of Canaan. And not only that, the land of Canaan was given to an angel. It was given to the Lord of hosts. The whole land of Canaan was given to the Lord of hosts. So we know when Moses went to Mount Sinai, when Moses went to Mount Horeb and saw the burning bush, it was an angel on the mountain. That's who on these mountains, angels, and Yahweh. So anyway, we're going to pick that up with that understanding. Verse 4, and they break down the altars of Balaam in his presence, and the images that were on high, that was on high above them. See that? That's up in these mountains. But notice this, like I told you, when they go into the temple and they doing the sacrifice and all that, our God is in there with them. Like I said, he told them how to make the sacrifice, just like he showed Adam how to make a sacrifice. He showed Abraham how to make the sacrifice. He ain't way off somewhere in Chicago somewhere. He right there showing them how to do it. And so he in the temple with them. So notice in verse 4, and they breaking down these high places, which is these high places, these altars to these fallen angels, and they require human sacrifice. They require the blood of humans and children to be sacrificed to them. So he says right here in verse 4, and they break down the altars of Balaam in his presence. See that? And the images that were on high above them, he cut down, and the groves, and the carved images, and the molten images, and they break in pieces, and made dust of them, and strewed it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed unto them. So that's all over the churches today. Same stuff right here. It's got to be tore down. The images that were on high above them, they cut down. The groves, the carved images, and the molten image. All this all over the Roman Catholic Church, the mother of all churches. Steeples. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Verse 5. And he burned the bones of the priests upon their altars and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. So did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim and Simeon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattocks round about. And when he had broken down the altars and the groves, and had beaten the grove images into powder, and cut down all the idols throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. So now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the house, he sent Stephan, the son of Azzilah, and Masha, I can't say his name, the governor of the city, and Joab, the son of Jehoshaphat, the recorder, to repair the house of the Lord his God. And when they came to Hilkiah, the high priest, they delivered the money that was brought into the house of God, which the Levites that had kept the door had gathered of the hands of Manasseh and Ephraim and all the remnant of Israel and all Judah and Benjamin, and they returned to Jerusalem. And they put it in the hands of the workmen that had the oversight of the house of the Lord, and they gave it to the workmen that wrought it in the house of the Lord to repair and to amend the house. Even to the artificers and the builders gave they it to buy huge stone and timber for couplings and to the floor of the house which the king of Jews had destroyed. And the men did the work faithfully, and the overseers of them were we give their names, which I can't put, Jahat, Obadiah, the Levites, and of the sons of Murrah, Zechariah, and Mushim, of the sons of the Kohites, to set him forward, and the others of the Levites, all that had skill, a skill of instruments of music. Also, they were over the bearers of burdens and were overseers of all that wrought the work in many manners of service. And of the Levites, they were scribes and officers and porters, right? So anyway, so I want to shine a light on that right there. So if you've been paying attention on Facebook and all that with what I was doing with Shiloh, you know, I'm not, some people want to assume I'm stepping out of my bounds, but you see right here, I'm dealing with a place of refuge because I know what's coming, and building a wall for prayer wall, right? So he says right here in verse 8, now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the house, he sent Stephen, the son of Asa, and Musha, the governor of the city, and Joab, son of Jehoshaphat, the recorder, to repair the house of the Lord. And when they came to Hilkiah, the high priest, they delivered the money that was brought unto the house of God, which the Levites they kept the door, had gathered of the hands of Manasseh and Ephraim, these two tribes, and all the remnant of Israel, and all of Judah and Benjamin, and they returned it to Jerusalem, and they put it in the hands of the workmen, right, that had the oversight of the house of the Lord, and they gave it unto the workmen, and wrought the house of the Lord to repair and amend the house. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't see where that's out of line, right? Anyway, so verse 14, it says, the book of the law discovered. And when they brought out the money that was brought into the house of the Lord, Hilkiah the priest found the book of the law of the Lord given by Moses. And Hilkiah answered and said to Stephan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah delivered the book to Stephan. And Stephan carried the book to the king and brought the king word back again, saying, all that was committed to say to thy servants, they do it. And they had gathered together the money that was found in the house of the Lord, and have delivered into the hands of the overseers and into the hands of the workmen. Then Stephan, the scribe, told the king, said, Hilkiah the priest have given me a book. And Stephan read it before the king, and it came to pass when the king had heard the words of the law that he rent his clothes, right? And the king commanded Hilkiah and Ahikam, the son of Stephan, and Abidan, the son of Michael, and Stephan the scribe, and Asar, the servant of the kings, saying, go inquire of the Lord for me and for them that are left in Israel and in Judah concerning the words of the book that is found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that is poured out upon us, because our fathers have not kept the word of the Lord to do after all that is written in it. Okay, so they ain't been dealing with the book of the law, right? So then Josiah understanding it's a big problem. So we're gonna see how he go about to fix that. So we're gonna start back at verse 18. It says, and it came to pass when the king had heard the words of the law. So this is his first time he hearing, right? He heard the words of the law that was that he rent his clothes. So we don't see that happening now. When the truth and the word of the Lord go forth, you see people they got feedback or retaliate. It's bouncing off them like the water on a duck. Okay, so it says, and the king commanded Hilkiah and Achan, the son of Stephan, and Adon, the son of Micah, and Stephan the scribe, and Asher, the servant of the king, saying, "Go." So you got all these Levites, me. He says, they're in pickle. 21. Go and inquire of the Lord for me. These are the only ones who can go and inquire of the Lord for him, for Israel. Go and inquire of the Lord for me, and for them that are left in Israel and in Judah, concerning the words of the book. So it's concerning the book right here. Same book we got right here, we dealing with. So concerning this book right here, we see he commanded the Levites to go and inquire the Lord about it. Right? So it says that is found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that's poured out upon us, because our fathers have not kept the words of the law to do after all that's written in this book. Okay? So then we go down to I told you that he got a covenant with David, that he's gonna always keep a man on the throne, the son out of David's lineage on the throne of David. And then not only that, he's gonna bring up a righteous son, and he's gonna have the same countenance that David had. So we in 2 Chronicles 34 and 29, then the king sent and gathered together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king went up to the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the priests and the Levites, and all the people, great and small, and he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant that was found in the house of the Lord. And the king stood in his place and made a covenant before the Lord, to walk after the Lord, and to keep his commandments, and his testimony, and his statutes, with all his heart and with all his soul, to perform the words of the covenant which are written in this book. And he caused all that were present in Jerusalem and Benjamin to stand to it, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and did according to the covenant of God, the God of their fathers. And Josiah took away all the abominations out of the countries that pertained to the children of Israel, and made all that were present in Israel to serve, even to serve the Lord their God. In all his days they departed not from following the Lord, the God of their fathers. So we see right here in verse 32, it says, it's not Lord of hosts, it ain't Jesus, and it ain't Yahweh. It says in verse 32, and this is Josiah, calls all the people. This is responsibility. This is why it's so important to understand the order that Most High got in place. He called all that were present in Jerusalem and Benjamin to stand to it. And the inhabitants of Jerusalem did according to the covenant of God, and God, the God of their father. And Josiah took away all the abominations out of all the countries that pertain to the children of Israel, and made all that were present in Israel to serve, even to serve the Lord their God. And in all his days they departed not from following the Lord, the God of their fathers. Same thing with David. As long as David was alive and David was ruling in Jerusalem, they followed the Lord of hosts. They dealt with their God. Same thing right here with Josiah. So if you keep on reading verse 35, Josiah reinstituted the Sabbath, Passover, He reinstituted it. They had stopped doing all this stuff. So like I'm saying, this is what Daniel, let's look at it right quick before I go. This is what Daniel talked about right here in let me get it. Daniel chapter 9, right? What Josiah is talking about is what happened with the Lord was dealing with Daniel about in the vision. Daniel chapter 9, verse 20. And while I was speaking and praying, confessing my sins and the sins of my people Israel, and presenting my supplications before the Lord my God, for the holy mountain of my God. See that? For the holy mountain of my God. Y'all ain't on no mountain. Right? 21. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in a vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked to me and said, Daniel, I am not come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth, and I have come to show thee that thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. 70 years are determined upon thy people and upon the holy mountain to finish the transgression and to make an end of sin and to make a reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness and seal up the vision. So these 70 weeks is 490 years. So these 490 years is over here. What went down with Josiah. So you see how this Daniel go before. Daniel go before Josiah. Book of Daniel go before what happened with Josiah. Because what we're reading in Josiah is what happened. 490 years, they found the book. So you see how whacked out it is? So anyway, let me get back over where I was at. Okay. Yeah, so it says, we kept the Passover. Okay, so sidewalk. Okay. Okay, yeah, it says 32. When he calls it, no, I read that. 35. Moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and he killed Passover. I read that. Let me see where I was at. Yeah, 31. And the king stood in his place and made a covenant before the Lord and walked after the Lord. And he kept his commandments and his testimony and his statutes. 2 Chronicles 34 and 31. Commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all his heart and with all his soul, and performed the word of his covenant which is written in the book. And he called all the people that were present in Jerusalem and Benjamin stand. I read that. Okay. Okay, yeah. So anyway, that's what Josiah was. That's what Josiah he did. But like I was saying before, when they found the book and brought it out, that's pertaining to what Gabriel was coming to Daniel about. That's why they had to leave the land. They didn't keep the Passover. I mean, they didn't keep the year of release. 6 years you till the ground, the 7th year you let the land rest. They weren't even going by none of that. That's why they had to go to Babylon. So all this happened after the book of Daniel. So, and even Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah is telling them they're going into captivity in Babylon. And we know that right before Josiah died, right after Josiah died is when the Babylonians, the Chaldeans came. So all these stuff is out of line. And that's a major when it comes to understanding the scriptures, because they done got it all twisted off and flipped off where you can't, it's not in sequence. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna go to Second Kings. I was in second. Let me see where I was at. Second Kings. Second Kings. Let me get it real quick. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. So we go. I'm in Second Kings. We got a different take on it in Second Kings, or the covenant that Josiah had with the Lord. So, 2 Kings 23, and the king sent, and they gathered unto him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem, and the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great, both small and small and great, and he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of the Lord. And the king stood by the pillar and made a covenant before the Lord, and walked after the Lord, to keep his commandments and his testimony and his statutes with all his heart and with all his soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written in the book. And all the people stood before, all the people stood to the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest and the priests of the second order and the keepers of the door to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal and for the groves and for all the hosts of heaven, and to burn them without Jerusalem in the field of Kidron, and to carry the ashes of them unto Bethel. And he put down the adulterous priests, whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the house of, or in the high places in the cities of Judah and in the places round about Jerusalem. Them also that burn incense unto Baal and to the sun and to the moon and to the planets and to all the hosts of heaven. So let's look at that. So because like I said, the New Testament, and they've led you off down another road, and you can't really see the truth of the matter. But when you're looking at right here, like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. It was a whole nother system in place back in the time of these that we're reading about. They had priests that was worshiping Baal. They had temples to Baal. They had all that back then amongst the Israelites. So this is what Josiah went in and got rid of all that. Well, guess what? Now that we're waking up, we see the same thing today. That's all Christianity is. They're just saying Christ instead of Baal. It's the same thing. And in order to get the understanding of the scriptures, you got to get rid of all that. Just like Josiah doing. Just like Hezekiah did. And Jehoshaphat. The enemy keep on raising his head up. It's no different than now. They put another take on it. But it's the same thing. They got the priests that's worshiping, like he said. They worship the sun and the moon. And when you write the divide with the wafers that's in the Catholic Church, represent the sun, the cross is the equinox, all that stuff, the same stuff. Right here, we reading right here with Josiah. Right now, we're dealing with it right now. And you got 98% of the Israelites that embraced it, thinking it's the truth. Okay? So anyway, let's look at it. 23 and 4. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest and the priest of the second order and the keepers of the door to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal. See that? Same thing today. That's got to be done. And for the groves, and for the host of heaven, and for to burn them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carry the ashes of them into Bethel. And he put down the adulterous priest, see that adulterous priest. So we got some wicked ass priests, just like you got righteous priests, righteous Levites, whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense to the high places in the cities of Judah and in the places round about Jerusalem. Them also that burn incense unto Baal and to the sun and to the moon and to the planets and into all the hosts of heaven. And we also know right here they burn incense to the queen of heaven. Right? They was worshiping women. They had a woman that they was worshiping. Just like The Greeks was worshiping Athena. And the Egyptians was worshiping Isis. We ain't dealing with nothing. This ain't nothing new under the sun. Verse 6. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem unto the brook Kidron, and burned it in the brook Kidron, and stomped it with small powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people. And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites. Right? Ain't nothing new. You got Sodomites today. Sodomites that were by the house of the Lord, where the women wove hangings for the grove. And he brought, okay, and he brought out all the priests out of the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Bathsheba. And he brake down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gates of Joshua, the governor of the city, which was on the man's left hand at the gate of the city. Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren. And he defiled Topher, which is in the valley of the children of Chin, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Moloch. And he took away the horses that the kings of Judah had given to the sun, and to enter in the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan Melech, the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs, and burned the chariots of the sun with fire. And the altars that were on top of the upper chamber of Ahaz. You know, Ahaz was wicked as hell, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh, he wicked as hell, had made in the two courts of the house of the Lord, did the king beat down and break down from thence, and cast dust upon them in the brook of Kidron. So what you see happening on Prophets of Awakening, what you see me doing ain't nothing no different. You know, you gotta beat down, like he said. You gotta take that New Testament and do something with it. Gotta get rid of it, get it out your face. And he says in verse 12, the altars that were on the top of the upper chamber of the Ahaz, which the king of Judah had made, the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courts in the house of the Lord, did the king beat down and break them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kidron. That's what Israel gotta do today. And like I said before, they gotta return to the God of David, the God of Israel, the God of David. God of Israel, you know, David ain't in the New Testament. Okay, it says in the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mount of corruption, which Solomon, king of Israel, had built for Asheroth, the abominations of the Zidons, for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Micah, the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the kings defile. So, like I said before, and look at all these idols. Ain't nothing new under the sun. That's what we have today. If they was in a pickle like this 3,000 years ago, how much more so you think the deception is today? It's way greater. We see that these people didn't stop back then. So what made you think they all of a sudden they stopped after we got scattered out of the land, and we just the word of God just manifested itself and stayed pure, and we got it pure. You know, we're here. We're in the predicament we in because they took away all our understanding. And they twisted our book up and took away our God, our understanding of who our God was. That's why we're in the predicament we in. Okay, and all that's been all prophesied. And so another thing to keep in your mind too is that we see right here Solomon had participated in this. So let's go all the way back to David was before Solomon. So it says in verse 13, wherefore where were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mount of corruption, which Solomon, king of Israel, had built to Asherah. That's a female. The abomination of the Zidons. The Zidons worship the woman, or a female deity. Anyway, so Solomon had started it. So the thing about my point was, all the kings from Jeroboam was the first king of Israel, the 10 tribes. I explained it before, where from when Solomon died, Rehoboam came on the throne of Judah and Benjamin and Levi, and the other 10 tribes split, and Rehoboam was made king over them. So from that point on, you got 2 kings ruling in the land of Israel because it's been split. So all the kings, but the Most High got a covenant with David on the northern kingdom. He's got a covenant. I told you he's gonna always keep a son on that throne in Judah, and he's gonna always raise up a righteous one after a series of wickedness. But no righteous king ruled in Israel, in the 10 tribes. From Jeroboam all the way to the last king of Israel, none of them did right. That's something to think about. From Rehoboam all the way to when the Chaldeans, when the Assyrians came, take them out of the land. They never did it right. But no righteous king in Israel. So like I said, you can ponder on that. So anyway, like I was saying, the plumb line, or when you write and divide this, was Josiah, because he was the last righteous king that the Most High had raised up in Jerusalem, and then after he raised him up, and they started going, and he died. That's when Nebuchadnezzar came. So I'm going to read some of that, a little bit of that, and then we'll open up for some Q&A, and then we'll close out. So we see, the Lord of hosts started disassembling the Israel right after that, right after Josiah died. Okay, let me get it. Okay, and like I said, you see that you see that, like I said, these books not in order when you understand what I'm showing you. So it says after verse 20 of chapter 35, after all this, Josiah had prepared the temple, because he had done all that reform. Necho, king of Egypt, came up to fight against Carmish. See what I'm saying? This is your plumb line. And we just saw in the video where Nebuchadnezzar was fighting against Carmish by Euphrates. But they don't tell you that, we don't know that that's who Josiah was dealing with. So it says Carmish by Euphrates, and Josiah went up against him. See that? And they put him right in the same timeline. There ain't no 400-500 years in between. So it says, but he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have you to do with thee, thou king of Judah? I come not against thee this day, but against the house wherewith I have war. For God commanded me to make haste. Forbear thee from meddling with God, who is with me, that he destroy thee not. And then it said, but Josiah didn't listen, right? Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguise himself, that he might fight with him, and hearken not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God. And it came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. And the archers shot at King Josiah, and the king said to his servants, have me away, for I am sore wounded. So he got killed there. So that take us to this right here. I'm just trying to give you, trying to connect some dots. So that takes us to Zechariah right quick. So you'll know this in the future when you come across it. So you go to Zechariah. Let me see. Yeah, Zechariah chapter 14. Okay, let me see. No, chapter 12. Starting at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, And I will pour upon the house of Judah, on the house of David, and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and supplication, and they shall look upon me whom they have, this haven't happened yet. They shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourning for his only son, and he shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn son. Now, verse 11. In that day there shall be a great mourning. See that? A great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning in the here I am in the valley of Megiddo. So that takes you back to chapter 2 Chronicles 35 in verse 22. That's when Josiah died. So we saw what he had done. It says there never was a king in Jerusalem, never was a king in Israel like Josiah. Because Josiah did some major reform in Israel. And he was a righteous king from 8 years old to the time he died. So it says 22. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguise himself, that he might fight with him, and hearken not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God. And he came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. So that's what he's talking about over here. And he got killed. So when he got killed, it was a great mourning in Jerusalem. It was a great mourning in Israel. That's what verse 11 is saying in Zechariah. In that day, there shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, right? As the mourning of him again in the valley of Megiddo when Josiah got killed. And so what he's talking about is when he bring David back, it's going to be a great mourning, just like the mourning was how they mourned over and laminated over Josiah when he was killed in Megiddo at Carmel. Okay. So let me get this here and I'll open it up for some Q&A. Okay. 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 Yeah, so it says right here, it says Josiah died, right, in 2 Chronicles 35. Then we go to 36. Say the reign and dethronement of Jehoshaphat. So let's look at it. So we know the Lord of hosts got a covenant with David. He's gonna keep a man on his throne, right? Throne of David. I always got a man out of David's lineage. So here we go right here. We know right here he threw with Israel because of this right here. 2 Chronicles 36. Then the people of the land took Jehoshaphat, the son of Josiah, and made him king in his father's stead in Jerusalem. Jehoshaphat was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months. See that? 3 months in Jerusalem. And the king of Egypt put him down. So see that? Right here telling you, Lord hosts through with Israel. It says, and the king of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem and condemned the land in 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And the king of Egypt made Eliakim his brother king over the Judah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Jehoiakim and Necho, right? The same person that Josiah was dealing with, took Jehoshaphat, his brother, and carried him into Egypt. See that? So they then took away the seed royal. The seed royal, the lineage that the lineage that the Yahweh is following, Lord host following. They took that away and put this guy, let me get it, Eliakim. Then it tells you in verse 5, Eliakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, God, his God. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar. So here comes Nebuchadnezzar right here. So Jeremiah is after this, but Jeremiah is prophesying about Nebuchadnezzar coming. That's how you know this book, Jeremiah, go before this, before Chronicles. right? So it says Nebuchadnezzar was also carried away the vessels of, look at this, the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon and put them in his temple. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and his abomination which he did, and that which was found in him, behold, they are written in the books of the kings of Israel and Judah, and Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his stead. And it says, the Jehoiakim is taken captive to Babylon. Jehoiakim was 8 years old. See that? 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon. Look at this, with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king instead. So Most High threw with he threw with the keeping a seat of David out on the throne. He already threw with him right here. So go to Daniel right quick. Then I'm gonna open up for some questions. So when you go to Daniel right here, Daniel chapter, he sent Gabriel. Sent Gabriel to Daniel, right? Lord of hosts sent Gabriel to Daniel, and he says, okay, let me get it. Chapter 8. Yeah, chapter 8 says, verse 18, chapter 8 of Daniel, verse 18. Now, as he was speaking with me, this Gabriel, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, for the time appointed the end shall be. That's what we're dealing with over there. He threw with Israel because he to see the David is not to see the David and he not watching over it like he did, because he threw with Israel as far as dealing with them and delivering them and bringing them back and forth. He already started the process of getting rid of them because first of all, Zedekiah was on the throne. When Nebuchadnezzar came, Zedekiah was on the throne. He wasn't from that lineage that the Lord of hosts was following. And that's why he was so wicked as hell. So he was already starting to back away, hide his face from Israel right there. Okay, so let me see, get some of this stuff over here. It says, Ezra chapter 10, verse 3, Ezra did the same during the Persian Empire after they rebuilt the second temple. Right, you're right, exactly right. Okay. Okay, you already dealt with that. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. So yeah, like I said before, I was just trying to give you some, connect some dots and put shine light on Zedekiah, on Josiah, because a lot of people don't know the significance of the things, everything that happened around Josiah and the role that he played in our nation, and how it went completely downhill after he passed away. He was the last reformer of Israel, part of the covenant that Most High had with David. Okay, any comments? Let me get this. Haggai 2:23 and 1 Chronicles 3:19, Zerubbabel lineage of David. Let's look at that right quick. Haggai chapter 2. Haggai chapter 2 and 23 says, in that day, said the Lord of hosts, I will take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shepherd, son of, said the Lord, and I will make thee a signet, for I have chosen thee, said the Lord of hosts. Right. So he's out of David. He's identifying the seed of David. That they're getting ready to go back to Jerusalem for the last time, before the Greeks came and ran them out for good. Okay, 1 Chronicles 39, 3 and 19. Okay. 1 Chronicles 3 and 19 says, and the sons of Pediah were Zubel and Shimei, And the sons of Zerubbabel were Meshullam and Hanai and okay, yeah, exactly. So we see the lineage right here. Even in this verse right here, 3:19, we can see some of the kings that came on the throne after Zerubbabel was came on the throne. But like I said before, they don't match up with the lineage they got over in Matthew because they got a hidden agenda. Okay, exactly right. So like I said, Zerubbabel did build a second temple. For those people that want to get a greater understanding of that, we have videos on Prophets of Awakening that you can go and check them out. It's at least 10, 15 videos on that topic. Like you probably want to check out those. Got 12 non-Messianic conversations with a non-Messianic Israelite. You can, follow those, pick those out, and watch those. That'll help you out a lot. Okay. Right. Yeah. So pertaining to Nehemiah, Nehemiah was appointed by. If you go to read it, Nehemiah was appointed by. Let's look at it. Like I was saying, King Necho came up to Jerusalem, and he made Zedekiah. He took the seed royal off the throne and put the person he wanted on there. So Nebuchadnezzar the one it's a human element now that's making a decision on who's on the throne. So same thing right here with Nehemiah. Let's look at it. Let me go to Nehemiah. Okay. Nehemiah. Yeah. So see right here, chapter 2. And it came to pass in the month of Nisan in the 20th year of Ar's king. See, Ar is the king. That wine was brought before him, and he took up wine and he gave it unto the king. And now I have Nehemiah talking. Now I have been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then was I very sore afraid, and said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when thy city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, well, what doest thou make request? And so I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, if it please the king, if thy servants have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me, see that, send me unto Judah, unto the cities of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall thy journey be, and when will thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and he sent me with and I set him a time. Moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters, see that, let letters be given unto me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah, and a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber. So we see right here that Ar's made him governor. So what's a governor? A governor is Ar's is the king of kings, and all these people, all these other kings, they kings too, but they governors now because Ar's is the king of kings. He's the supreme ruler. So these other people that's sovereigns over these different countries are governors. They kings, but they calling them governors. So ARs made Nehemiah, not the creator. ARs made him governor. Because we see where we just came from in Hosea, that if you pick it up in chapter 2, verse 1, Most High got a covenant with David, and he got a covenant with Aaron. So he says, in the 7th month, in the 1 and 20th day of the month, came the word of the Lord. So this decree by Yahweh, by the Lord of hosts, by the prophet Haggai, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, that's the seed out of David, that's the king, the son of Sethel, governor of Judah, and Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest. These are the ones that Most High ordained. They follow the lineages of Aaron and David. So Nehemiah was given letters and authority by ARs. Okay? Yeah. Right. Let's say, yeah, right. Okay. So anybody got anything before we go?
Shalom. I just have a question and a comment. When you was reading in 2nd Chronicles chapter 34, when Josiah heard the words of the law, was it that he tore his clothes because he was grieving so because he was in such unbelief that they just took the word of the law and just like threw it away? Is that why?
No. Like I was saying before, when you understand how it all works, which is, and that's how you in your day-to-day life and in your encounter with different people, so-called Hebrew Israelites or whatever, you can rightly divide when you have the understanding that's being going forth now. So when the Spirit of the Most High fall on the Israelite, that's what he gonna do.
Okay.
That's what it is. So like I said, he from his youth, 8 years old, his soul, his spirit, and everything is toward Yah. So when the truth, the Yah word was presented to him, he automatically knew, and he rent his clothes. He looked around and seen how far off everybody was.
Right. Okay.
So when it's happening now, and like I said, all you gotta do is look at these clowns. It's rolling out like water in a duck bag. He's giving them the truth, and they ain't responding to it. And then you have to go back. You have to go back and look at what happened when you saw it, when the truth came to you.
Right.
So that's your plumb line, your gauge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what happened when the Spirit of the Most, just like with David. It's no different than when David had dealing with Bathsheba. For some reason, he thought everything was good, but when the word by Nathan came to him, he immediately fell on the floor.
Fell on his foot, right.
Right. That's an Israelite. That's what I mean by thinking like a Hebrew Israelite. Yeah, you're not gonna fumble with that. When you see it and the Spirit of the Most High hit you, then you're gonna respond right there on the spot. You ain't gonna fumble with that.
Right.
That's
You're gonna react to it.
Yeah, you're gonna get it. He's seen that all this time, and he can't even believe that Israel's still there.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say next. I can't believe we still there with even just reading, 2nd Chronicles and getting the understanding. And you say, that you're a Hebrew Israelite, but you still, worshiping JC. But then you saying, I'm not understanding, the reason for our punishment. Oh Lord, save us. You see what I'm saying? But you still worshiping JC and ignoring what you've been reading in 2nd Chronicles. You know what I'm saying? And in the book of Jeremiah, it tells us we doing bad.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. Right. Exactly.
We doing worse than our forefathers were. We doing bad.
Right. Like I said, it's 3,000 years later. And they was all caught up and jammed up in a pickle, and the Lord of hosts was there. and they had the king and high priest in place. So
Right.
where you think we at? We without a king and a high priest, and our God that's over us and turn his face on us. So ain't no way in the hell he looked over those 66 books and they didn't, we got the 66 books all that we need. No, you crazy as hell if you believe that.
Right.
So
Still want to worship JC and the woman in the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Right. They done gave us a whole nother God.
Right.
So with that being said, like I said before, you see this, it's just, I mean, all I can do is present it to you. So you see running across the bottom of the screen, the Shiloh Project. That's where the Shiloh Project come from. What you just asked me about Josiah. I see what's coming. So all I'm doing is, I've come to find out, there's other people doing the same thing. He ain't just dealing with me. It's places being most high, building up places of refuge because of what's getting ready to happen. So it's gonna get done whether I get the support from people or not. It's gonna get done. But I'm just extending the welcome to assist. But it's gonna get done. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
So,
hallelujah.
like I said, if you go to what else you would say? You go to Facebook, yeah, you can go on Facebook. On Facebook, you'll see progress. And then you ain't helping me do nothing. You helping me do what the Creator got me doing. That's it. Like I said, I'm showing these videos and showing you all this stuff on these current events for a reason. Because it already started. What's been prophesied is slowly coming to pass. It's no different than the prophecy that Abraham, Moses gave them, that they was going to go into captivity in ships. And it came, it overtook them on the west coast of Africa. They showed up with the ships, and the next thing you know, they was in land and dealing with people that they ain't know nothing about. Speaking a crazy language they ain't know nothing about. So the Most High prophecy they're gonna come to pass, whether you do anything about it or not. So yeah. Anybody? So you got something out of that?
Oh yes, I did.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anybody else got anything before we check out? Yeah, let me play this right here. I think it's appropriate. Let me get it right quick. Then we'll close out. Okay. Let's see. I'm in the wrong place. Give me 1 minute to get my ducks in a row. Okay, here we go.
What Bible do you read?
Don't despise it, embrace it. She wears her wisdom like a bracelet. A virtuous woman takes care of her men. She don't show no skin because she's modest. She's covered from head to toe, she looks flawless. My heart is safe with you, cause you're a precious gift from the Most High. Intuition, she's aware, so you should listen. She's full of wisdom. Her tongue, it speaks words of kindness. Oh, it's the life a virtuous woman.
Yeah, so that's Levine. I think it's Lorvin. If you want to play this, you want to play the song or put it on your playlist. It's a virtuous woman. I'm not. I can't play all of it. So yeah. So I just thought it was appropriate to play that. But anyway, I'm gonna say shalom, everybody, and I'll see everybody tomorrow on Clubhouse at 8 o'clock. And so with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.
Okay.